Welcome to this episode of the Movement Mentality Podcast. You know who I am, and I'm really excited to share with you all my really good friend, Michelle, Dr. Michelle from San Diego. She has such a cool and interesting story, and I just can't wait for her to share with you her journey and how she navigates her very specific niche and industry and what she provides for people and talk about her book. So, welcome to the show, Michelle. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, Missy. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to connect with you and really just share the transformation and like the journey of how we've gotten to where we are, both of us, all of us. So I thank you for having this platform.
Yay. You're so welcome. All right. So, um, where do we begin? How this all started with you at 3 years old,
Started
like,
with me at 3 years old. So I'm a pediatric audiologist. I'm deaf myself. I utilize bilateral cochlear implants. When I take my cochlear implant processors off, I would feel a fire truck before I heard it right next to me. If you can imagine, like the pitchiest black of black, you can't see your hand right in front of you, that dark. That's how dark it is for me when I take my devices off. And I've been able to find peace in there. That's like my space. It's wonderful. You know, when I have 3 kids, there's a crying symphony. I'm able to take my devices off and I can navigate right foot, left foot, whatever it is that they need. My cortisol doesn't rise. I'm just like, this is my tool, my super tool to be able to be still a mom for them, a present mom for them. But I created Mama Who Hears on Instagram for fun. I was walking with our mutual friend Ilana. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I stay home with my kids more? How do I still serve the world while being a mom? Yeah. And she and our friend Stephanie were like, Michelle, just start an Instagram, see what happens. Like, I'm going to run out of things to say. Are you kidding me? No, I'm just going to tell people how I wake up at night when my babies cry. And then that'll be it. I'll be like, well, that was my one trick. What is it? One trick pony kind of thing. But what I realized, thousands of parents started reaching out to me, asking me the same questions that they had been asking me in clinic. I've been an audiologist for 15 years at the Children's Hospital. And I realized they're my mom. They're where we were 40 years ago, except without internet, without Google, without, the network of healthcare providers that are available now. Um, and I really wanted to help the little Michelles. How do I support those little Michelles that don't have any other deaf and hard of hearing friends, don't have any other role models? They have a nervous mom who doesn't know what to do because most deaf children are raised to hearing parents. Most of the time, their deaf baby is the first deaf person they've met in their entire life. So having a nervous Nelly mom or parent that are, micromanaging or just overseeing or maybe worrying too much of what choices to make, I know what that's like. I'm 40 years later. I get to be that person 40 years later. And I thought the best way to help those little kids is to support those parents. And by supporting those parents and by supporting those healthcare providers, then I can reach those little kids and make sure that they know whatever they dream of can totally come true if they want. And that they can be powerful, that they don't have to be some inferior little person in this big world that can't thrive. Just forgive me, chills, because I recently got to go to China with a group from Colorado where audiologists, speech language pathologists, early interventionists, we all got to take a conference, like bring a conference over to China and teach their technicians over there because they don't have audiologists, they don't have the labels and certifications that we have here. We taught them what we do here in the United States so they can sustain it over there. I got to bring my dad. He thought he was just going to be an interpreter. And I thought, cool, I get to show my dad what I do. But what ended up happening is I stuck him with a parent counseling group, a parent like peer mentor group. He got to tell his story to other Chinese parents of newly identified deaf children. So a male figure, a father figure telling his story of what it was like. In their language, he looks like them. Tears were just flooding down their faces because he was saying back to them exactly how they were feeling in the now. And then at the end, he's like, "That's my kid over there." I was bawling. I had never heard a story in Chinese language. Usually it's my mom, telling the story. But my dad opened up. He was like, "I can help them. I can share my emotions, my story, how I saw my daughter, how she shifted everything because she's just a little kid having fun. She gets to go to these fun doctor's appointments, go for car rides, she gets the treats, the stickers, all of that. It's harder on the parents because because
I'm like,
they
where's my tissue?
it's harder on the parents because they're wallowing in that what if. What do I do? I don't know. I'm lost. I'm overwhelmed. And he was mirroring that for them and acknowledging all of those feelings that they had in the moment now. And then he's able to say, "There's my kid. She's the one programming your kid's devices. She's the one giving your kids sound." He'd never gotten to see me in the clinic because of HIPAA, but he got to see me amplify these kids, practice talking with these kids, saying, "I know how that feels" to these kids. And these parents were just like, "Whoa, my kid can have a life. My kid can get married and have children. They can be loved. They can become a professional. They can do whatever they want. They can speak maybe a few languages." So my dad started crying. I started crying. Oh my gosh, this whole conference room of parents was crying. And that was the biggest full circle gift I've ever gotten. Not to mention, I got to stay like in a hotel room with my dad for a week. It hasn't happened for decades. Like just my daddy and his little girl hanging out, bonding, connecting. It was, uh, it gave me so much more purpose. I was able to say to him, "I wouldn't be here without you, without you putting aside insurance, flexible spending, taking me to all these appointments, feeding me this catfish soup, doing acupuncture, all of these things." And I recognize every deaf and hard of hearing journey is different, even within the same family. I thought I was alone. He thought he was alone. We knew we were together, but it was, we're walking two different paths. And we saw all of the different areas where we crisscrossed in life. Like when I was upset about this, he was upset too, but he had to be strong. When he was upset about that, I went up to him. I was like, "Maybe this is the way I'm supposed to be." I'm 3 years old and I say that. And he's just like, "Huh, she's right. She's the same Michelle before and after we got the diagnosis, the label. That's what shifted our brain. So why don't we focus on what she can do versus what she can't do?" And then they just had the same expectations that they had for me and my hearing brother. Be a good human, get good grades, and be respectful to your elders. And I just kept going. He's like, "You just kept going. You were like, life is good." So I started saying, life is good, you know? Because I remember seeing books on the shelf. Why do bad things happen to good people? And I'm like, do they think this is a bad thing? I'm like, I can hear the birds. I can hear the garage door opening. The world is pretty colorful. Look at those cicadas outside. Like, they're noisy. But I just saw the silver linings in things all the time. I didn't realize, though, later in college, I did underlying, like, subconsciously think that I was broken. Like, I knew something was off. I did live life a different way. And it took me a while to not define myself with my devices. Like, "Michelle, you are not this. You are not this remote microphone that the teachers have to wear in school. You are who you are inside here." It took a while to shed that, probably in my 20s. When I started dating, I was like, how long can I hide my hearing loss from them? Oh, my hearing aids are squealing. I'm embarrassed. What kind of situations am I going to be in? I don't want to talk on the phone. I would rather drive to and walk up to the receptionist at the doctor's office than to call and make an appointment. That is no big deal to me because the anxiety was huge to me. So transforming that, figuring out who I am without that label, even though when I was younger, I didn't wear that label. Something happens, like maybe middle school or something, you start bringing that on, you start seeing how are you different in the world. And then I feel like in your 30s, you realize, yeah, I'm different. What can I do with it? I started having kids. And I was like, oh, I get anxiety about talking to new moms at the playground. What if I can't hear? What if they think I'm not good enough? And it's like, oh, I can't let my kid not get a play date with someone she really wants to have a play date with just because of me, something that's on my plate. So I started sharing, I started owning who I was, what I needed to do to thrive. I started sharing with my kids because one thing that I was actually fearful of is when kids find out their parents aren't superheroes, like that superhero falls from that pedestal if they do something wrong. It was like, I don't want for that moment to come. I started sharing with them, Mommy can't hear you in the shower. Mommy can't hear you if her devices are off when she's sleeping. Wake up daddy if you need something, or come over here, give me my devices, or sign to me if you need something. And they're like, oh, okay. And I realized my kids are growing up in my world. Why would I hide it from them? Now they're my biggest supporters. They know how to change the battery. They know how to sign to me. They know flicker the lights or put your hand on my shoulder if you need my attention and that I need to see your face. The patience of my kids is incredible. My daughter will say things 3, maybe 4 times, and she'll come down the stairs into the kitchen and come to see me so that I can read her lips so that her message can get delivered. She knows that's important and she knows it's respectful for me. So it's just the environment that they're built in, they're growing up in, the factory that they're growing up in. Um, so I built my community around me versus feeling isolated in this hearing world. And that's part of the reason why I started sharing on Instagram. It's like, I need this community as much as they do. They, meaning the patients that I have served. But I started thinking, how can I give to them in a way that can be sustainable? Because I want them feeling empowered, not like they need me all the time. I love to tell patients, I actually hope I don't get to see you. I hope you're doing just fine. And I'm here for you always. But I hope that you can do this on your own and feel strong and feel confident because every family has their own dynamic. What do you want to make out of it? What do you want it to look like? That's why I created my program. I created my course. It's everything that I would give a mom of a newly diagnosed child, like at the playground. These are the people that you want to consider having on your team. These are the conversations you want to consider having with your co-parent. These are the devices that are available out there if you want to choose devices. These are different options of communication within your family, within the world. It can be visual, it can be auditory, you can do both. Figure out what works best for you. Because I don't know your family dynamic. I'm not in your family. I'm not going to tell you do it my way because that's what worked for my family or me. I don't know what is going to work, what's going to be the best case scenario for you guys. So my why is those kids. Those little kids get to grow up in the most supportive environment, and it starts with the parents. When parents feel confident and comfortable with their child's disability, their child will feel comfortable and confident with their disability. When you talk about it, it goes away. Not like physically goes away, but like it's out of the question, it's out of the picture. It's a non negotiable. Like an allergy. Somebody has an allergy to peanuts, you're not going to bring peanuts in the environment, right? I'm deaf. I need to have captioning. I need to have visual support. And I just make it happen. Like in the car with us, I just had my device on you because I wanted to hear these stories. And you're like, okay, got it. We're good. Okay, keep going. We just check in with each other. And that's the dynamic that I've created around me. If you want me to be part of this situation, this is what's got to go. We talk about it and it's out of the picture. Like we just go on. It's magical.
I am like short circuiting right now in my brain, like in a good way. I'm I know I'm not alone in this. Like hearing you say this whole universe that I have no exposure to except through you. Even when I follow everything you do and I'm like, I don't know what she's saying half the time because it's in your lingo, right? Like your industry and like even the DH8, I was like, deaf, hard of hearing. Okay, I'm pretty sure. I like, I had to Google it. I was like, is that right? Like everything, but it's hearing what's wild to me. Sorry, I have so many thoughts. So what's wild to me is hearing your conviction and intention is everything. Because if you shrank, like you said with your kids, if you tried to like hide it from your kids and you were just like pretending to be a hearing person, that that would wreak so much freaking havoc in a
They would
household.
feel it. They would feel it. They would
Everyone would,
see me.
mom doesn't listen to me. I asked her this 3 times. I mean, the whole thing would just be so horrible. And to mommy can't hear you in the shower. Okay. Like it
Easy.
you
You
and
know
I
what
were in the
they
car
do?
and
They don't leave me alone. They come
they
up to
don't
the shower window and they're like, Mom, Mom,
Mo-
Mom, MJ farted. I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So it's a normal,
Mhm,
very normal
mhm.
situation. That was so interesting. We said the factory that they are being raised in because that is created by you. Like you're the spine of the it just wow. And I, I- I'm just so blown away by this because you could have shrunk and it sounds like your parents perspective really shifted you at a young age. Well, let's focus on what she can do. And what were the 3 things?
Be a good human, get good grades, and be respectful to your elders.
So Asian, that last one. It's funny because not American, Caucasian families, like, they don't have that respect your elders thing, and I was telling my husband that if my mom was around, my kids would have so much more of a Filipino upbringing because to an elder in the Philippines, you grab their hand and you put their
Plus,
back of their hand on the forehead. And I was raised that way, so I just didn't even I would just walk around the whole every
mhm,
elder, tap the forehead, and it's like my kids have no idea what that is
mhm.
because there's no Filipino like if I taught it, it would actually be odd, right? Because well, one, I don't have any elders around me, but anyways, we're on a tangent, but you being the decider of how it goes, it truly does shift everything. We were in a car together. I was in the front passenger seat. Michelle was in the back far left. And I was telling a story, and you just touched my left elbow and said, can you repeat that or something? And then you put is it called a dictator? What's the thing called? The
It was an Android phone that had an app called Live Transcribe, and it picks up and
live
transcribes what you
transcript.
say so that I can
It
see.
was
It's
so
not
cool.
your big neurology words.
I mean, I am so impressed by that thing. So the screen was facing you,
Mhm,
but I continued to face forward,
mhm,
and it was just like a normal you were like, "This is what needs to happen." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Are we good? Is it picking it up?" And we're like, "Okay, moving on." Like, it ain't no thing.
Mhm.
But if you were just ruminating in the back and not saying anything and just like festering, and no one would know and you would be the only one
Mhm.
suffering.
Or if
So it
people would
just,
think I'm being antisocial or like Missy isn't interesting or what, we never would have connected more.
and you are so social. So that's hilarious. So I'm really curious how how did you do that? How did you not let this, is it called a disability? Like, is that what it's actually called?
It can be
Cuz
called a
I
disability. Some people have a negative
or
relationship with the word.
yeah.
Um, some people, and I used to use the word hearing impaired because that's what the professionals used around me. I shifted to hearing loss, hard of hearing. To certain audiences, I'll say I'm deaf. To hearing people, I'll say I'm deaf. To actual deaf ASL users, I will say I'm hard of hearing because I'm not fluent in ASL. But
Okay.
it's so funny that your podcast is about the journey of how we are doing what we're doing now because life
I mean, it's
isn't
like,
linear, you
yeah,
know.
like why wouldn't you just shrivel into a ball in a corner and like
And I do.
die?
I do
You
sometimes.
know,
I don't
like,
die, but sometimes I do
yeah.
because that's a part of me. That's a core part of me that's probably embedded in my cells. My body knows these feelings very well. And they come out in times of stress. Say if I'm having an argument with my husband or something and, you know, his pet peeve is repeating things. Like he doesn't like to repeat things. Like, of course I married you, like the deaf girl who needs either repetition, but I have to teach him, hey, dude, what you say is so important to me. Please, like, flicker the light, stamp on the floor so I feel it, anything, so that I can be like, what's your message? You know, and it still happens. We're human, but I'm such a far cry from who I was 10 years ago, 4 years ago, even because starting my Instagram, I was like, I'm very honest, meaning I used to think that hearing people were better than not hearing people, that they would be more successful, that they were more powerful, smarter, whatever. And I was ashamed when I found that out. I'm like, ugh, gross. Like I went into audiology probably to keep the deaf community at a distance, to treat them. And then I realized I need that community so much more than patients may need me as an audiologist. Now I see, you know what? It's about language, it's about communication. It's not only about oral spoken language being better than that. You don't know the depth of connection and communication that you can have without any sound. It's incredible through body language, through visuals, through feeling, through energy, all of that. Like, whoa. So now I'm here. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I help people not necessarily get to where I'm at, but how do I get people to feeling comfortable with where they're at? That's a huge thing for me. Do you feel comfortable? Did you want to wear devices? You can say no if you don't want to wear devices. Do you wish that the world was all visual? I can relate to that. And fact of the matter is, we live in a world that's full of sound. We're cultural chameleons because we navigate through a deaf and a hearing world constantly. We're code switching all the time. My whole life, I've had to thrive in a hearing world or survive, whatever the case may be. The hearing world doesn't know, like you said, you don't know much about my world. And you're just like, educate me. Those are the people that are open and willing to be like, this person has that much more to add to my life. I'm here with open arms, open heart, open eyes, ears. That's who I'm about educating because when I can educate them, then the world can be more inclusive and accessible, just like that car ride. We wouldn't have gotten that close as we are, you know. I don't know half the words that come out of your mouth with neurology stuff. Same with you. You don't know my lingo. And there's a space in this earth on this planet or whatever in this energetic world that you and I totally jive. We have so many similarities. There's so many connections.
It's almost though that this has, I mean, because we take a sense, one of the senses, we take our senses for granted,
Mm-hmm.
hearing people, you have a richness and a depthness to life that we can't even try to get. Right? Like
You will never fully get it.
I will never it's like so it's a I'm sure you've been through all the emotions, but it's like this twisted gift, right? Where you're like, yes, it made your life really hard in a lot of ways, but it makes you so special. Like, I mean, I can hardly talk because I just want to cry. I'm so in awe of this story and we all have hardships. So it's we all relate to hardships in different ways because they're all so different. But just for the last 5 minutes, I was trying to read your lips and not listen. And I was thinking to myself, this is hard. I mean, it's a skill. And I'm like watching your tongue, and it's like, okay, a cool skill, mind you, but
And
I've never,
everybody's face and mouth is different.
everyone shapes their words different. And I mean, I was just doing it for 5 minutes and I was like, wow, I don't have this skill. I would have to actually practice this. And you said you can sign in different languages.
There's dialects all across the world. There's thousands of different sign languages.
Okay, that's why it's called American Sign
Mhm.
Language.
There's
Are the
British
other
Sign
ones
Language, there's Australian, there's Black ASL for like the Southeast area. Oh, yeah, you can
stop?
have slang in New York City and slang in Southern California.
And it's
Just
like
like having so many dialects of German.
this is,
Yeah.
I am just, the first thing anyone ever taught me was this.
Yep.
And I'm, it's a bull,
Mm.
shit-ing. Um, wow. Yeah.
Mm.
From a neuro perspective, I'm just like, does your brain fire at a more rapid rate because you've had to learn so many ways to communicate because of the absence of this?
Mhm.
You have had to learn, like you said, body language, vibration through the floor, light flickering. Like you've had to learn so many other ways of communication
Mhm.
that we've never tapped into. Like that part of my brain is dead, right? Because I don't have to utilize it.
You don't have to. There's fatigue. You know, social fatigue. There's also listening fatigue. So it can depend on the person's pitch of their voice, the topic of discussion, the how much time or how much sleep I got that night, how my nutrition is. But one conversation can make my brain so tired and have listening fatigue in 2 minutes versus, certain people fill your tanks instantly like Ilana. She enunciates, she's energetic. I can listen to her talk about her passion all day long. Talk about concrete and you passionate about it, I will listen to you. I'm so in tune to that. But yeah, when you lack one sense, your other ones come in. Creativity comes from scarcity. And that's where certain skills come in from like lip reading. Why would you have the lip reading skill? You've never needed to do so. But yeah, my husband tells me, he's like, slow down, do less. I'm like, I don't know how to, but I will try. And number one, I take my devices off. Less stimulation. You say I'm social. I am social with one on one, but I'm very much an introvert because I need that much more time to fill up my tank to be with people. So I've learned now, made my plate smaller, push away everything that's not a FBS, only put things on my plate that are or that is a yes, and now I get to live my life with things that fill my tank. And man, they whoever said it wasn't lying. Your 40s is really where life starts. It's so cool.
Okay, two things to wrap up. One is because so Michelle and I can talk for a very long time. We really like each other. So, one, what is one thing if a hearing parent with a newly diagnosed child that is either deaf or hard of hearing, I said death. What is something you would like to say to them if they were listening to this right now?
I would say how you view your child's disability significantly affects how they view their disability. So meet yourself where you're at. I started saying that to students. Meet your patients where they're at. These kids are scared of the booth. They're scared you're going to give them a shot. I don't even have band aids in my office. It's going to be okay. Tell them those things. Tell them things that they can grasp before you move on to things that they don't have control of. So, for a parent who always puts their child first in all of their needs, what's most important is meet yourself where you're at. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I'm scared of making the wrong decisions. I don't know how to raise a deaf or hard of hearing child. Okay, be with that. And be with how does this shift how my child looks like in front of me, or maybe it doesn't. Because how you view your child's disability significantly affects how they view it. And you go from there. Back
Would
off,
you say that it doesn't just affect it, but it actually
puts into motion.
defines it?
It can. It doesn't have to, and it can.
It can. Okay. If you could write yourself a letter at your lowest point, what would that first line say?
You are more than enough. Did you know that you are more than enough? I didn't know that or believe that for the longest time.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with my community. I am over the moon to be your friend and honored. I am now a trillion times. I was already excited to help you with launching. If I don't know if we're relaunching that book right there or what, but I have so much more connection to what is going on, and I'm now passionate about helping hearing parents of deaf or hard of hearing children. Like, let's do this. I might mess up the words, but I am so down. This is so exciting. So, thank you so much. If anyone wants to know more about you, how do we find you?
I'm most active on Instagram. My handle is Mama, MAMAHU is my maiden name, my last name, and HEARS, Mama Who Hears. Got a website. I'm on Facebook. Reach out to me, email me, say hi. I would love to connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll probably have you back on the show. So have a great day. Thank you for being here.
Love you.